I'm Renee, a retired educator turned wine bar conversationalist. This is Conversations Over Wine, where wisdom is poured and stories are shared. Welcome back, friends. Each week, we slow down, pour a glass, and we talk about life's lessons, aging with intention, and what really matters as we grow older. I'm so glad you're here. Let's begin. My last podcast episode was about the rise of the single woman. And we talked about statistics of how more and more women are choosing to be alone. And it was a really big conversation. And I felt like there was a lot of it that could be expanded on. And so today I kind of want to pick back up on that topic, but go a little bit different direction with it. As more people than ever are spending time alone, we may need to take a look at that, because I don't believe that all alone time is created equal. Some of it heals you, but some of it can also quietly break you. So I want to take a look at the difference between solitude and isolation, and why it matters. Also, I wanted to say hello, and I'm back from Italy. I mentioned last time that I wouldn't be creating any podcast for a week or so because I was taking a trip back to my favorite place on earth, which is Italy. So I took a trip to northern Italy, spent some time in Verbania on Lake Maggiore, and explored a few other nearby towns. Also had an unexpected layover in Paris, France, which was amazing. So I feel rejuvenated and excited to be back. And anyway, I just wanted to share that was an amazing trip. I do still plan on doing an episode or two about traveling and why I think it is so important that we travel. And I also want to explore the topic of solo travel, which is really close to my heart. But I'm back, and I really want to get into this topic that's been rolling around in my head about the difference between solitude and isolation. Especially since we explored that topic of the fact that more and more people are choosing to be single. And as a single person, and not only am I a single person, but I also live alone. And so I feel like this is a topic that I have a lot to say about, and that I'm really interested in and trying to learn more about. So let's take a look at that today. Let's explore maybe what the difference is between solitude and isolation and why it matters. Now, I do believe there is a big difference between solitude and isolation. One way that I think it is different is solitude should be a time to refuel and rejuvenate. That is, and it's intentional. It should feel empowering and restorative. That's when you take a solo trip, or you spend some time journaling about your thoughts, or you take a walk alone, or you take yourself on a solo date. Things like that we do because we need it. And it allows us to kind of refuel. Sometimes being with other people can be very draining. And some of us spend more time with other people than others. I don't spend as much time as I used to, just simply because I am semi-retired now and living alone. So I don't need as much maybe as some other people do, but I do still need that. I do still need time to refill my bucket, to refuel, rejuvenate myself, take a breath, so that I can re-enter the world and go back out there and spend time with people. So when you're looking for solitude and you're thinking about what makes something truly solitude and not isolation, I think that's one key component is, are you refueling and are you rejuvenating yourself? Is it a walk in nature? Is it journaling about your thoughts and feelings? Is it taking a weekend trip alone? Are you feeling rejuvenated and refueled after that time? And I think if you do, if you're feeling that way during it, you feel that way after, then I would believe that that would be a time of solitude, if you're refueled and rejuvenated. Another way that I think you can tell if your alone time is solitude is how you feel. Do you feel relaxed and peaceful during that time? You know, is your heart rate slow? Is your breathing good? Is your, just your whole nervous system, is it at rest? And I think that's a good way to gauge if you're truly in solitude and not isolation, which is a whole other ballgame, and we're going to get into that in a few minutes. But if you're feeling at peace and relaxed, and your breathing is slow and peaceful, and you feel your shoulders are relaxed and your muscles are at rest, then maybe you are in a time of solitude. There should be a peacefulness to it, a quietness to your soul. And for me, that time when I feel at peace, when I'm alone and I feel relaxed, I know that time is truly solitude, and it's what I need. My body, my shoulders go down, they relax, and my breathing is slow, and I just feel that sense of peace. I think that's a great sign that you're in a time of solitude. Another way that you may know that you're in solitude and not isolation is if it's something you look forward to. Like, it's not a dread. It's I can't wait until, if you still have kids at home, I can't wait until, I have a little quiet time. My husband's at work and my kids are at sports, and, you look forward to that. It's not a dread because you know that you need it. So it's something that you feel, that will bring you this great sense of peace and relaxed, and you anticipate it with positive feelings. If so, then that's probably a time of solitude. And you choose that time. Like, you would actually choose to be alone. You're like, I'm going to go take that walk. I'm going to step away for a while and I'm going to go for a walk. Or, you know what, I'm going to step away for a bit and I'm going to go to the coffee shop and I'm going to sit outside and enjoy the breeze and, people watch a little bit, enjoy my favorite latte. If it's something you're looking forward to, then you're probably in a time of solitude. It's a positive thing. It's a chosen time alone. That that is a choice that you would make. Now, I believe those are all really good signs or indications that your time alone is truly solitude, something to be enjoyed, anticipated, very intentional, very peaceful, and when you leave it, you feel refueled and you feel rejuvenated. The way that you feel during it, but also the way that you feel when you step away from it. I believe those are true indicators of a time of solitude. Now, on the contrary, let's take a look at isolation. And there is a huge difference, I believe, between solitude and isolation. If you're in a time of isolation, that is a place where you may feel stuck there. One way you know that it is isolation as opposed to solitude is if you dread it and you feel that you are actually avoiding people, not choosing to have that space to rejuvenate. You're actually just avoiding people. That's very different than saying, I need time alone to walk, to journal, to do these different things. If you're actually avoiding people, that's probably a sign that it is more isolation than solitude. Another way that you may know that you're in a time of isolation instead of solitude is if it feels more like a punishment. It's more punitive. You feel like, you think about it, what is isolation in prison? It's a form of punishment, right? It's when they take people and remove them from all human interaction. If that's what that time alone feels like to you, it feels like it's punitive, and you feel sad, and you feel lonely, and you feel like you're punishing yourself in some way, then I would say that's a very strong indication that you're in a time of isolation as opposed to good, healthy solitude. You're also probably going to be feeling very drained, maybe even numb inside. Kind of that dead inside feeling, that numbness. Or it could be a lot of emotion. You could be feeling very stressed and very agitated. You may even want to be connected to people, but you won't. I would say those are strong indications you're in a time of isolation. Your feelings are strong indications of that. If you're feeling, like I said, if you're feeling angry or you're feeling even numb and very disconnected from people, then you might want to take a look at that. That is not a healthy place to be, especially if it lasts for a very long time. So why are especially women choosing more time alone, choosing to be alone more? And, it seems almost like we're redefining solitude. I think in some cases it's because a lot of people are really seeking peace over chaos. They're learning to build independence, but without the loneliness. Again, solitude versus isolation. And it seems that more women are wanting that. They're wanting to find peace, that their tolerance for chaos and uncertainty and all of that. It's just the tolerance has dropped, I believe. But in all of that, and just like I said, I just did a whole episode on the rise of the single woman, but I'm doing this episode as maybe just a little word of caution that we be very cognizant of our alone time. No matter what our, relationship status is, or if we're a male or a female or whatever it may be, I think it's just important that we understand what that time alone looks like. And if you are maybe feeling like you're in more of a situation of isolation, there's definitely a way to move from isolation more into the comfortable and peaceful solitude. That alone time, you can add in intentionality. Okay, I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk. I'm going to journal about how that situation with my family made me feel. I'm going to go sit on that patio and enjoy my favorite latte. You can also even add in some small connections during your solitude, your time alone. It could just be a quick text to a friend, or maybe even a quick coffee date or a happy hour. Maybe if you're feeling, or you're more in isolation than solitude, maybe you just need to add in a little more connection with other people. And also be very honest with how you are feeling. I have learned over the last few years to move through my feelings as opposed to over them. How I'm feeling is how I'm feeling, and I need to explore that, and I need to move through that. And so be honest with yourself. If you think you're in more of an isolation than solitude, be honest about that. And then add in some intentionality to your alone time so you can shift it from isolation, into solitude, which is a much better, healthier place to be. So why am I talking about all this? Well, because I think it's an important topic right now. I think everybody seeks alone time, right? It's true. But we also need to be aware that loneliness exists all around us. And I don't believe there's a single one of us that, has never felt lonely. And especially if you're a single person, I think it's important to be in touch with the difference. And to make sure that you're not allowing isolation to take over your life. We have to ask ourselves, do I feel peaceful or do I feel disconnected? If I'm feeling disconnected, then I need to make some connections. I need to reach out. I need to maybe be spending a little more time with others. And am I avoiding people? Or am I just enjoying my own company? I think that can be a pretty fine line. But I think it's important that we ask ourselves sometimes, are we really enjoying our own company, or are we avoiding people? And I think sometimes one can be true for a while. Maybe you are avoiding some people. But we have to be a little careful with that so that we don't fall into isolation, because we want it to be more about enjoying our own company and sitting quietly in our thoughts sometimes. Because being alone isn't a problem. It's when you lose connection to others and even to yourself for an extended period of time, that you need to be concerned. Because solitude helps us to reset and reconnect with ourselves, and that's a healthy thing. While isolation can do just the opposite. It can actually, draw you away from it. Just some food for thought today. Some things that have been on my mind and on my heart, just thinking about this whole single thing and making sure that we are staying connected, even when we are spending time alone. So I hope you can, connect with this idea a little bit, something to think about, to mull about in your head and consider where you are with this whole topic. And I just want to thank you guys again for spending some time with me. I would love to hear some comments from you guys. Maybe a time when you felt isolated, or maybe even some great strategies you have that you use for solitude to kind of reconnect with yourself. I would love to hear some of your ideas. And if you have somebody in your life that you think would enjoy this episode, that you think could learn from it or connect with it in some way, please share the podcast with them. I love doing these. It's a wonderful creative outlet. It helps me to get thoughts and feelings out of my mind and put them out there. And I always hope that there are other people that can connect with what I'm saying. But I would love to hear from you guys. And if you would, please follow the show and please comment. Give me some, food for thought. And thank you again, as always, for joining me as we sipped and savored and reflected on this amazing, beautiful life that we have all been given. And I do hope that we are all making the most of it every day. And until next time, my friends, cheers.